We are all living and working on First Nations lands. Wherever you are watching from tonight, we honour and acknowledge elders past and present, and the many nations on whose lands we live, work and love. Sovereignty was never ceded. My name is Ashton Malcolm and I am honoured to be your host for tonight's event. I've had the privilege of reading some of the work from these playwrights and we are in for a treat. We are all living and working on First Nations September 2019, wherever you are watching Carclew Country Arts SA and Australian Theatre for Young People brought together 14 emerging regional playwrights to tell new regional stories at Writing Place. Writing Place was inspired by Australian Theatre for Young People's National Studio, an annual program in New South Wales, which has been developing young playwrights for over a decade. Alumni of National Studio, established in 2008, are now seeing their work presented on main stages across Australia. Drawing on Australian Theatre for Young People's experience and using the combined knowledge and expertise of Carclew and Country Arts SA, Writing Place was a deliberate investment in an emerging generation of regional Australian storytellers. Now, before we hear from all of the wonderful writers, we're going to share a little behind the scenes snippet from Writing Place that was recorded and edited by Eloise Hullerbeck from Carclew's Creative Consultants program. Here we go, let's watch the video.
I think that implicit in a regional creative identity is like a kind of isolation, and so when we can come together to create things and support each other for rural people, I think that's kind of exciting.
I think when you don't have a big community of actors and writers and creators around you, everyone looks like they're doing something that you can't quite reach yet.
We all have such a strong voice and we want to say things, so we want people to be able to hear it, and I think this program has definitely allowed us to be able to do that. You know, there's not a lot around for the performers to have that's, you know, aimed at them for, you know, their age and that they are regional, and it's their place, it's their stories.
And also don't get those chances to have a large amount of time with professionals who are mentoring and guiding us, because there's just no access to that in our area.
They just put all their time and effort into listening to us, to making sure we felt heard, making sure we felt respected, and to helping us grow our monologues. We wouldn't have gotten that from anyone else.
I think Writing Place has given me the opportunity to focus solely on my creative practice and to meet my fellow regional artists and to take joy in developing our own regional stories.
Had this thing and then I lost it along the way, and then coming here I got it back again, and that was really special.
Creating art in your community is just as valid as people creating art in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane or Adelaide. Reinforces your voice as a creator.
Since that experience, all 14 of the monologues developed during Writing Place have been published in a collection by Country Arts SA, Carclew and Currency Press. Our live stream tonight is to celebrate that publication, called This Was Urgent Yesterday. And I'll be speaking to all of the writers for the next hour. Now, directly after the live stream, we invite everyone to jump into the Facebook event for an informal chat and Q&A. And we'll also have a few free copies available of the books. So make sure you ask some questions and you could be randomly drawn to win a book. Now, before I chat to the writers, I'd like to let you know that you can find their bios on our Facebook page. And I really recommend checking those out because this whole lineup of writers are incredibly accomplished. So let's meet our first two writers, Danielle and Betty from the Northern Territory. Just wait for them to join us. Here we go. Hello.
Hi.
Danielle and Betty, nice to meet you both.
Hi, Ashton. Hi, Danielle.
Thank you so much for joining us for this Zoom party. Now, first of all, where are you both Zooming in from tonight? Maybe Danielle, you first.
I'm zooming in from Darwin.
Darwin. And how about you, Betty?
I'm here in Alice Springs, Mbantua.
Oh, very nice. What's the weather like? Is it a bit warmer up there?
Well, we're both north.
Yeah. It is very cold in Adelaide.
Yeah, cold here too.
Yeah, no, we're quite tempered up here, so it's nice to still have the fan going.
Yeah, I'm very jealous. Now, to start with, I just wondered to give our audiences a little bit of a taste test. Maybe you could describe your monologue in 5 words. So, Danielle, we might start with you. And your piece is called I Need Gourmet.
Yes, that's correct.
So what are your 5 words?
Oh, I would say fun, liberating, exciting, cheesy, and gourmet.
That all sounds delicious. And Betty, how about you? Your piece is called Swallows. What are 5 words you think best describes that?
I'd say my piece is about failure, self-acceptance, adventure, and being out in the bush.
Beautiful. These are good taste tests. Now, I wondered, Betty, maybe we'll start with you this time. Where do you get your writing inspiration from?
Well, I'm reading a lot of plays, I think. I think that's the best way you can get any inspiration. So trying to read as many plays, and especially using Australian plays online. It's an incredible resource.
Cool. And do you have a favourite playwright at the moment?
Yeah, my favourite playwright is also from the UK. She's called Lucy Kirkwood, and I've gone on to Danielle about her before. So sorry if I'm repeating myself, Danielle. She's brilliant. She writes the most incredible stories with lots of supernatural influences. She's great.
Oh, very cool. Is there a good play to start with if people haven't read her work before?
Definitely. I'd start with her most recent one, The Welkin, and that's from this year, but also there's a one about nuclear disaster called The Children, which is also brilliant.
Wow, I'm going to add those to my reading list, which is always huge.
Yeah.
So many good writers to read. And Danielle, how about you? Where do you get your writing inspiration from?
My inspiration kind of comes from all over the place. I like to do a lot of my work from my own experiences or things that have impacted me either on a direct personal level or someone very close to me. So I love to do a lot of stuff that's very raw and real for myself.
Absolutely. And do you have a favourite playwright or writer that you're reading at the moment?
I do always love reading Andrew Bavell.
Mm-hmm.
I did study him when I was in uni, as most students do, but he just has a brilliant way to tell a story, and a lot of the times the stories that he tells intertwine with each other, which is just brilliant, and hopefully I'll be able to craft something together of, a similar caliber.
Absolutely. Have you seen any of his work on stage before?
No, not on stage, but I've read a lot of his work.
Beautiful. I was really lucky to see When the Rain Stops Falling.
Yeah.
And also Things I Know to Be True. And you're so right. There's such big, complex worlds that he manages to weave together so beautifully.
Definitely.
And really nice hearing local stories as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm curious, with you both being in the NT, how did you get involved with this project? Maybe Danielle will let you go first this time.
Sure. So I was actually in Alice Springs as well with Betty. When I, when yeah, I do miss it. I do miss my time in Alice. And I got sent an email through a very good friend of mine for young writers, and I like just slipped in under the age bracket and applied for it. I think it was the night it was due. I think I sent it in maybe an hour before it was due because I got it.
Nothing like a deadline.
Oh, mate, like because I just got sent it, so I was like, oh well, it can't hurt to just write something up quickly and send it in, and then next thing you know, we're in the mountains on a retreat writing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And how about you, Betty? How did you find out about it and how did you get involved?
Well, similarly to Danielle, it was really last minute. I was running the email account for our community theatre here, Totem Theatre, and we got this amazing email one day from Alicia saying, yeah, this opportunity, can you share it with your youth theatre network? And I was like, yeah, but I also think I could apply.
That sounds great. Yeah, when Alicia contacted me about hosting tonight, just reading about it, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I fit into this age bracket. What an amazing program. So do you have, having gone through the program, I'm curious, first of all, is this the first time you've both written monologues or have you been working in this way for a while? How about you, Betty?
No, I'd never written a 7-minute monologue ever. It's a really intense thing to do. You have to really know that character and they have to have such a reason to be speaking alone for such a long time. I loved the experience. It was unlike anything I'd ever written before.
Absolutely. Did you find yourself when you were writing it, were you sitting at your desk acting out the character? Like, how did you get in their headspace?
Well, I was in a bunk bed. We were, we were in this incredible national park style place with just dorm style rooms. So yeah, we were all writing in the woods or in our bunk beds or wherever. And yeah, I think over the week, I really tried to delve into a character who was new to Central Australia and sit with what that experience would be like. And also we did these incredible sessions where we really tried to remember and access those experiences, the intensity of being a young person, and that really helped.
Oh, brilliant. And what about you, Danielle? Is this the first time you've written a monologue?
For a little while, yes. But I used to write them back in school and in uni, of course. But I used to write youth theatre shows and productions for children. So that's just something that I guess was familiar with. But yeah, like Betty mentioned, to get back into the headspace of a young person was really challenging, but in a good way.
Absolutely. It was quite amazing when I was reading them all. That because I'm in my 30s now, but reading them, I was taken right back to those places. That visceral nature of being that age and how many things are changing so quickly. Oh, I really felt it all.
It's quite an intense feeling to have to like live with this character who you created out of thin air, and sort of imagine their world and all the things that have come before and what might come in the future for them. It's a different experience.
Oh, it's an amazing skill to have, and even more amazing to be able to communicate that then to people so quickly, like in one monologue, to get the sense of a whole person and story across. Congratulations, it's beautiful work.
Thank you.
And just quickly, is this the first time both of you have been published?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exciting. Well, a huge congratulations. And for people watching, if you have any questions for Danielle or Betty, we will have a Q&A at the end. You're both sticking around till about 8:30?
Definitely.
Great. So if people have questions, please hold on to them and you'll be able to ask directly at the end. Thank you both so much. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you, and congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. Great. So those were our two wonderful writers from the Northern Territory. And up next, we'll be going over to New South Wales. So we're having a huge national party tonight, and we are meeting Lily, Jordan, Alex, and Lisa. So here we go. Hello.
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 Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Ashton.
I weirdly feel like I know you all because I've read your beautiful words in your bios. It's nice to put faces to the words. Now, while we're waiting for Jordan to join us. Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Great. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, I might go around and just find out where you're all joining us from tonight. So, Lily, maybe you first.
Yeah, I'm in a place called Camberwarra, which is about 20 minutes south of Berry, which is about an hour from Wollongong, which is about an hour from Sydney. There, we did it. We got there.
I love that you know that you're regional when you do a list of places so people know where to locate you. And Jordan, where are you zooming in from?
I'm in Albion Park, which is like very close to Wollongong as well.
Awesome. And Alex?
Yep, I am zooming in tonight from the central coast of New South Wales.
Beautiful. And Lisa?
I'm zooming in from Griffith, which is about 6 hours from Wollongong.
Brilliant. So we're covering a good cross section here. This is great. Now, we've got lots to cover in a short amount of time. So to give people a bit of a snapshot of these beautiful monologues, we might go around and just give us 5 words that you think are a good summary or description of them. So Lily, your piece, This Is Yours. What 5 words would you use?
I wrote them down. I'm a prepared person.
Good idea.
I wrote warm, explosive, gnarly, bright, and lying.
Oh, very intriguing. And Jordan, your piece, Crossroads and Dusty Boots. What are 5 words you would use?
I decided to put mine in like a sentence. I didn't have like 5 words to like describe it, but I described it as the magic realism within oneself.
Good sentence. Having read your piece, good sentence. Very nice.
Pretty much sums it up.
Absolutely. And Alex, your piece, Where Does It Hurt? What are your 5 words?
Yeah, similar to Jordan, I've kind of tried to vaguely sum it up in a half sentence and kind of say it's an intergalactic, down-to-earth home mission.
Beautiful. I love how different they all are. That was the beautiful thing reading them. They all take us on such different journeys. And then Lisa, your piece, I wore heels, so she wore heels. What are your 5 words?
I did a sentence as well, so I'm glad a couple of other people did. But mine is The Perils of Teenage Friendship.
Beautiful. Oof. Just those, the perils of teenage friendship. It's like so visceral. Now, I'd love to know, maybe Lily, where did your interest in writing start?
I think it came from not being able to find my voice in anything. Like I always wanted to play the boy character who got to do all the like the superhero. I wanted to be Spider-Man, and I was like, why isn't there a Spider-Woman? And there is in the comics, but not in the telly. So I was like, well, I'll just write. I wanted to do it.
Oh, I love that. As an actor, I can thank you. It's very frustrating not getting to see as many women on stage as we could be. So keep writing.
Yeah.
And Jordan, how about you? Where did your interest in writing start?
I guess it started when I was like really young. I used to write like a lot of fan fiction when I was younger. That's how I like started off.
What did you write fan fiction for?
Harry Potter.
Yes. I definitely would read that.
Harry Potter was like my go-to as a child.
Absolutely fair. Do you know which house you would be in?
Ravenclaw, I think.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I did the Pottermore quiz and I got Slytherin, which was devastating. Oh, you too? Okay, good.
Yeah, of course.
So you started with fan fiction, and then where did it go from there?
And then like as I was growing up, like I decided that I really wanted to write like as like my life. So I went to university for writing. And then yeah, I just recently moved down to Sydney, to the South Coast, and I work in a digital media agency now, writing articles. So yeah.
Nice. Alex, how about you? How did your writing journey start?
Yeah, I think I was just a bit like Lily as well, you know, just wanting to see myself written in text and to kind of go, well, you know, there's nothing out there that I really want to play, so I'll just make my own work. And so sort of came to it from that place. But I think also I really always just loved stories and reading. And so I think writing came to me through that because I've always just, yeah, I've loved delving into other people's worlds. And I think if you can create something really authentic, then it's always you're writing from a good place.
Beautiful, absolutely. And I feel like readers can really sense that when it's coming from an authentic place. And Lisa, how about you? What's your writing story?
I think I just always had a fascination with words and writing from a really early age. My mum and my nan were huge readers, so I was just surrounded by it. And really similar to Jordan, Harry Potter happened, and magic and fantasy and that escape just was something I just fell in love with. So I just started creating my own stories, and it just went from there.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like Harry Potter is such an integral part of our generation. It's really shaped a lot of the way we read, and like they were definitely the biggest books I'd read at that age.
Yeah.
They really shifted a lot of things. Now, I feel like there are going to be some people watching tonight who would love to write, but never have before, or it's really intimidating. And I mean, writing monologues is quite a different beast, you know, writing in someone else's voice. So I'd really love to know if you have any tips for people who are maybe just getting started. So maybe we'll mix up a bit and we'll start with Alex this time.
I would say, I guess, still along the same train of having an authentic voice, is to write about what you know, particularly if you're somebody who is living outside of an urban area, then it's all the more important that you embrace that and that you're able to share those stories because they're not as often told on our stages. And I think also write about what you know, but also don't be afraid to be silly and to have fun, because I think everyone's a bit silly sometimes, and it's fun to write about that stuff that you might think is you might think that you're the only person writing about that, but or you're the only person thinking about that, but that's what makes it really interesting to read and to watch being performed.
Absolutely. Oh, good tips. And Lily, how about you? What are your tips to budding writers?
I just think I wrote in my little thing.
Well, you're a writer. It makes sense.
Yeah. Just write your thoughts like a diary, but make heaps more crazy stuff happen in it. And focus on writing from the present tense. That's what I think they're always a bit better, because it's like happening now, the tension. Mm-hmm. So it's like I walk towards the dead body or whatever.
We went right straight away.
Yeah. So making it active is always
awesome. Fun. Yeah, great advice. Some good practical tips there. And Lisa, how about you? What would your tips be?
I think you've got it right that writing is scary, and especially sharing your writing is absolutely terrifying. So I think accepting that it's going to be scary is a great first hurdle to get over. So accept the scariness, but also just look for the stories. There's stories in every person, every place, every experience. You've just got to find them. So just keep an eye out.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that expecting it to be scary. I think too often we try something new and it feels scary, so we stop.
Yes.
Whereas pushing through that fear can lead to the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Jordan, what would your tips be?
I guess for me, and it's something that I learned when I was writing my first novel, which was published last year. And
oh, wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long process, but I finally got it out there, which was nice. But also, like what Lisa said, it can be quite scary, seeing your words read by so many people. But I guess if I had any advice, it'd be to write from your rawest emotions, because that's what people are gonna relate to, because we are people and we do share similar emotions. And I guess writing can also be very subjective as well, and you know people are going to read it differently. One person can read it differently, another person might read it differently. And I guess just be patient, but also be persistent, and don't give up, just keep writing.
Great. Thank you all so much for sharing so generously. It's been lovely chatting to you. I could do it for much longer, but luckily people can tune in from 8 to 8:30 and ask you questions in the Facebook chat. So thank you, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi, it's so lovely hearing everyone's perspectives and so many different stories coming from all over the country. So up next, we will head to Tasmania to meet with Rosie and Rebecca. Quick drink of water.
Thanks for having
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Rosie. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. I was just like, oh, I should probably click start video. That's probably my cue.
It's quite strange, isn't it, when you're zooming in alone in your house?
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right moment. Nailed it. Hello. Good to see you. Now, just to start off with, Rosie, where are you zooming in from tonight?
So I'm zooming in from Nipaluna, Hobart in Tassie.
Beautiful. And how about you, Rebecca?
I'm in Launceston in my nan's bedroom.
Great wallpaper. Now, to start with, we're trying to give people tonight just a little bit of a taste test of what they can read in your monologues. So, Rosie, how would you sum up your monologue, The Appointment, in 5 words?
In 5 words, my monologue is about shame, bodies, confidence, family, and acceptance.
Beautiful. And how about you, Rebecca, your piece, Australian Strays?
I think I would say claustrophobic, sweet, honest, self-conscious, and romantic.
Beautiful. Now, I'd love to know, how did you both get involved with this amazing Writing Place project? Maybe you first, Rebecca.
Yeah, sure. I was applying for National Studio, and when I went onto ATYP's website, they had the opportunities available for writers, and the Writing Place was one of them. And so I sent in an application.
Awesome. And how about you, Rosie?
Good old Facebook algorithm, just being part of the Hobart Writers Group, I guess. It just popped up and I went down the rabbit hole and thought, oh my God, I better do this before I turn 26.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing program. Had the two of you done much writing beforehand? Maybe you, Rosie, first?
I'd done a fair amount of writing, but I guess it was all within the context of university, which I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time, I guess, to be in creative writing classes. And I did a master's for a year, and just having consistent access to feedback and mentorship and, the counseling of the very wise Ken Duncombe just meant that I was sort of spoilt for actors as well, just being at uni and being part of that vibrant community in Wellington. And then pretty much since leaving university, it's just been journal entries and short poems. So I've written a fair amount, but not for probably 3 or 4 years have I written anything more than a page long.
Wow. And now you have a monologue that's been published.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is brilliant.
It's
Congratulations.
super cool. Thank you. Thanks.
And how about you, Rebecca? What's your kind of writing history?
I'd only left high school about 6 months before I applied for the program.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd written in my like year 12 creative writing class and that kind of thing. But I think my applying for the programs was me deciding to take writing seriously.
Brilliant. So do you feel like this is maybe the beginning of a career for you?
I hope so.
Well, it's a great start. Not many people can say they're published. Now, I'd love to know, because you're both brilliant writers, are there playwrights that inspire you particularly? Maybe we'll go with you this first, Rebecca, this time.
Yeah, sure. I really enjoy Tony Kushner's play Angels in America. And I think when I read that for the first time, that was when like I felt something inside of me that was pushing towards that path. And I think that's because it's a play that goes for like 7.5 hours. And I was amazed by a queer play that would hold your gaze for that long on something that's hard to look at and not make you glance. Sort of like Hanya Yanagihara's A Little Life, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that is such a beautiful way of putting it. Angels in America is one of those plays that's on my list of things I really, really want to see.
I think it's also great because you have access to it in that you can see the film.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time when you only have the text, I think it doesn't feel as live, maybe.
Yeah, totally. I find often when I'm reading plays, even if I'm just reading them at home, I have to read them out loud because they're written to be spoken. So that there's something in the delivery and performance of them that it's really hard to find just on the page.
I agree.
And Rosie, how about you? Do you have a favorite playwright at the moment?
I don't really have a favorite playwright. I guess I was very lucky to have a very enthusiastic drama teacher at high school who made us read a whole bunch of different stuff. But the most provocative thing that I've read in the last 6 months would be Polythene Pam by Ken Duncan and Rebecca Rodden. And it just really shocked me and amazed me, and I just laughed a lot, and it's just really sort of filthy. It's like a punk play.
Cool.
I'm not really punk, but it was great to read something a little bit wild.
Oh, everyone's got some punk inside them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that was probably the most stirring play that I've read recently. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll have to add that one to my list. I haven't read that one. Sounds very cool. And I'd love to know, do you have any tips for people watching who would like to maybe try writing themselves? Maybe you this time, Rosie.
Yeah. My background, I guess, came into writing from improv and from acting. So my thing is just like pick something out of thin air and riff on it for as long as you can. So it's probably got lots of different names, but the exercise Snowstorm, of just like writing down, on small pieces of paper, 10 different qualities, 10 different careers, 10 different qualifiers of any kind, mixing them up, and then just challenging yourself to spend 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes just on anything that you pull out, which is a really great way of doing it with friends if you've got cool nerd friends too. And then something that I do if I feel really stuck is also if I just find a piece of art or writing that I love, or even a painting that I love. You could take one aspect of a piece of art that you admire. There's this great quote about like having taste levels that are higher than your ability when you're starting out as an artist. So yeah, like if you want to be an artist, you've probably already got really good taste. So finding something you love and taking one aspect of it and recontextualizing it can be a really great way to just start the ball rolling as well.
Beautiful. I'm going to borrow those tips. They are great. And how about you, Rebecca? Where do you suggest people start?
I would just say hold your nerve. Don't let shame or fear stop you from writing.
That is really good advice. Did you find it scary the first time you shared your writing with other people?
I don't think I found it scary, but I would start writing and I would edit myself before I'd even begun. I would try and write something and then think it was bad and so then delete it. When you can't do that. You just have to, there's literally no one watching you. You just have to do it.
Absolutely. I would love to keep talking to you both, but I have to move on to the next people. But we'll see you in the chat afterwards to ask some more questions.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And congratulations.
Cheers. Ka kite.
Okay, up next, we are heading to Queensland and Victoria. We're traveling all over the place tonight, which is very nice given current circumstances. So we'll just wait for Walia and Kate to join us. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, how you going? This is a surreal thing to be doing on a Thursday night.
Isn't it? This is the most people I've hung out with in ages.
Yeah.
Meeting new faces, very exciting.
Yeah.
And can I just check, Walia, am I saying your name right?
Yes, absolutely.
Phew. Okay, good. Now, to start with, Kate, where are you zooming in from tonight?
I'm in a town, actually, I'm in my bungalow in my town, Kyneton, which is in Victoria.
Beautiful. And Walia, how about you?
I am in Nambour, which is an hour north of Brisbane.
Great. I feel like I'm doing lots of traveling through other people tonight. It's really nice.
A very cheap travel.
Perfect. Well within my budget.
Yeah.
Now, to start with, we might just give our audience a bit of a taster of your pieces. So, Walia, your piece, Like Butter, how would you describe that in 5 words?
In 5 words. All right. So we have desire, yearning,
there we go.
career, fantasy, and shadow.
Excellent. I was very curious to know what your 5 words were going to be. That's a good summary.
Okay, good.
And Kate, your piece, I Found You, how would you sum that up in 5 words?
Yeah. It's actually, this is like such a it's so difficult to do. I went with grief, loss, perspective, and crunchy.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, crunchy. Nice. Yeah. Very nice. So I'd love to know, because, you know, all of the pieces in this book are so different from one another, but they're all so strong. So I'd love to know, as writers, where you get your inspiration from. So Kate, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah. I can't tell you where this piece came from. Like, oh no, I can tell you where it came from. The voice that I kind of channeled, I guess, this character that I created was like Hazel, my character. She's basically voicing insanities that people question themselves with, and kind of projecting that and bringing it to life. Yeah, so it's like any kind of writing, if it means something to you, it comes from a very personal place, and writing gives you this opportunity to channel emotions, channel experiences, and create them into something that is totally different, but still from a really deep place. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And have you always written? Is that something you started doing quite early on?
When I was little, yeah, and not seriously. Like I found those journals, and you're like, I love polar bears and kind of thing. I came back to writing in 2017 after I was quite unwell, and I'm initially a singer and songwriter, so that was like my basically poetry in motion. Yeah, so playwriting was like definitely a different direction, and applying for the residency was terrifying and just fills you with like all the critical voices. But yeah, it's been one of the best things that I've done for my writing and for myself as a general thing.
Absolutely. Good on you for pushing through the critical voices, because that's such a hard thing as a creative.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, it paid off.
Yeah.
It often does.
Yeah.
And well, Leah, how about you? Where does your inspiration come from? I'm just having a bit of trouble.
Well, this is going to sound really bad, but it comes from myself.
Hey, that's not bad.
So, and I think it's not that I inspire myself. It's just that I guess I write at to observe my own life and my own identity. Not that that particularly has a lot of relevance to my monologue. I think my mentor pushed me to write the monologues that I didn't want to write. So for me, it was definitely about embracing some fears about my own morality and my own boundaries that I was imposing on my writing. So normally I would write something that is totally me, but this time I took something that was me and I took it to the extreme of the worst version of myself I thought I could be.
Oh, beautiful. And have you always written, or is it kind of a thing that's come about a bit later on?
I've always wanted to be a writer. Whether or not I've always written is probably a different question. I think I wrote my first book, which lasted like 2 pages when I was 6 or 7. So writing books has always been a dream. It just took me 20 years to actually get around to it. So like Kate said, there's a lot of fear wrapped up in being creative and writing and claiming that title of being a writer as well. And I think that's something that we all shared at Writing Place, was realizing that no one was going to give us the title. We had to claim it by applying and getting accepted and showing up and writing.
Oh, that is all resonating so strongly. I think that's a really hard thing as a creative, to give ourselves the permission to call ourselves a creative.
Yeah.
So having said that, if there are people watching who are kind of struggling with that and wanting to start putting their writing out there, Kate, do you have any tips on how they could get started?
You just have to start.
Yeah.
Like you have to pick up a pen and you have to start. And there's this book, I can't remember who the author is. It's called The Artist something, and it's like daily pages. So
An Artist's Way?
An Artist's Way, yeah, that's it. Yeah. You sit down and you write pages of words. It could be like, I don't know what to write. And eventually you've got 3 pages full of words, and you may have written, I don't know what to write, or you've written something entirely that you didn't know was coming in. So it's something like any kind of exercise, any kind of muscle. It's something you have to practice to strengthen and expand, and make mistakes. That is one of the biggest things. Make mistakes, and then you look back 3 months later and you go, hey, that was great. That was like, I was onto something there. So you just got to start, and once you bring that into your awareness and you start to invite that kind of creativity and that kind of energy, and like things just start coming into your life, like a writer's residency that you never would have thought about applying for. And then so you just start.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And Walia, I'd love if you could maybe talk to us a bit about idle limerence.
Well, now that you ask,
we have a handy copy here. Thank you, Kate.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, nice cover. Tell us more.
So in a sense, Writing Place, looking back, I can see that it lit a fire under me to finally pull my finger out and write a book. I already knew that I was going to write a book in 2019, but I was perpetually held back by myself. So through learning to embrace some really dark elements of writing that came out of the blue at Writing Place, that kind of lit that fire, which took a while to really start burning. And in December last year, I started writing my book, and I literally just started with the first thing that came to mind, which was a movie scene from Moulin Rouge. And literally, that, as we were saying before, you just have to start writing. So I started writing, and I didn't stop. And within 2 months, I had a book, which is built around the same concepts that I explored in my monologue.
Wow. And is your monologue in the book as well?
Yes, it does feature in the book. And many people have been very confronted by it. So it really helps to add, because my book is non-fiction and fiction. So I've presented the monologue as a creative piece of work by the main character, who just so happens to go on writer's residency in South Australia. Coincidence? So I was able to put the monologue in as the character's reflection on her shadow self. So it really helped to add like another layer of enrichment.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations. That's a huge achievement. And Kate, thanks for bringing a copy. That's so handy.
It's so good. Like, it's fantastic. yeah.
Where can we get it if we'd like to read it?
You can go on Amazon. That's probably the quickest and easiest place to find it. And I definitely suggest downloading it on Kindle so you can get it straight away. Instant gratification.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you in the
Thank
chat on
you.
Facebook.
Hey.
Thanks, see ya.
Bye.
Okay, and now our last visit, we are coming back to South Australia to meet Emma, Charlotte, Isadora, and Michael. So they're just connecting in now. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we'll just wait. We've got the others coming in as well.
Oh,
Hello. And Emma's coming in. Have we got Emma there? Hi. Great. So maybe we'll start. Now, I haven't met you all before. So we've got Emma, Charlotte, and
Isadora.
Isadora. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello.
So whereabouts in South Australia are you joining us from? Isadora, maybe you first.
I'm from Mount Gambier, South Australia.
Excellent. And Emma?
I'm from Maiponga, but I'm currently at my grandparents' house in Moana because they have a much better internet connection than I do at home.
Good idea. And Charlotte, what about you?
I'm from Mount Gambier with Izzy, but I'm in Adelaide for uni right now.
Oh, nice. Now, Michael hasn't joined us yet, but maybe we'll get started and they can jump in when they get here. So to give people a bit of a snapshot of your work, because they may not have read it yet, seeing as it's just been published. Emma, your piece, It's Not a Bad Word. How would you sum that up in 5 words?
I would say extremely personal journey to self-acceptance. I think it's more than 5 words.
Good one. And Charlotte, your piece, All But You Who Looked at Me and Smiled. How would you sum that up in 5 words?
I did write mine down as well. So isolated, desolate, destructive, explosive, and vast.
Beautiful. And Isadora, your piece, Abyss, how would you sum that up?
Well, I'm going to pull up my list as well.
Do it.
I've got funny, paranormal, adventure, fear, and persistence as my thought.
Beautiful. I feel like everyone watching tonight is just going to be itching to read these because all of the words, like just the single words have been so visceral and intriguing. I can't wait for them to read the actual pieces.
Hopefully they do, yeah.
So Isadora, maybe we'll start with you. How did your interest in writing start?
Well, I've always had like written the short stories here and there, and I kind of, as I grew older, it's become more serious. So just kind of, it's always been present. I don't really have like a starting point necessarily.
And how did you get involved in writing plays?
Well, Charlotte and I actually, we wrote a play, and as we finished a play, we got approached with this opportunity by Maryland and Country Arts, and it kind of just started from there.
Brilliant. And I think we've got, is it Michael? Is that the pronunciation?
Yes.
Perfect. Phew.
Technical difficulties on this side.
Not at all. Thanks for joining us. Good timing. We've only really just gotten started. So where are you zooming in from tonight?
Sorry, just putting up.
It's okay. We can still hear you.
I am zooming in from Whyalla in South Australia.
Excellent. And you've written a piece called On Burning Day. So how would you sum that up in 5 words?
So my 5 words are an exploration of defying expectations.
Oh, good sentence. Now, I was just chatting to Isadora about her journey as a writer. So maybe Charlotte, I'll ask you the same question. How did your interest in writing start? And how did you come to be writing a play with Isadora?
So my interest started when I was a lot younger. As a little girl, I was really interested in like mythical sort of stuff, like fairies and mermaids and all that. And that sort of
realm of the fantastic, and I really like the idea of being able to get away from like boring, mundane, normal life and being able to explore somewhere magical and a different world from ours. That was sort of my thing. And then Izzy and I came to write a play because our school, Tennyson Woods, was involved in the NIDA outreach program. So Stephen Sewell, who was the director of screenwriting at NIDA, came and we got picked to write a script for our year 10s the year after we graduated. So that's where that came from.
Very cool. What a great opportunity.
It was amazing, yeah.
And Emma, how about you? Where did your writing start?
I've just always loved writing and storytelling. Like in primary school, I think the earliest I can remember is like grade 2, sitting there in like English class, just writing pages and pages of some sort of story. I just had all of these amazing worlds in my head. I have to write these and they're going to become a book and it's going to be amazing. And I guess that always just stayed with me.
That's so cool. And then how did you find out about writing plays?
I was tagged in a post on Facebook, amazingly. And I looked at it and I went, oh, I can't do that. No, I'm not talented enough. And my mom was like, no, do it, just try. And I got in and it was incredible.
That's so great. That's been a really common theme in our chats tonight. A lot of the advice people have given is don't second guess yourself. Like if you're scared, still do it. Don't get in your own way before you start. So well done. And Michael, how about you? Where did your writing journey start?
So I've worked with young actors teaching drama since I was myself only a teenager. So the company I work for, D-Faces here in Whyalla, only produce original work. So always since the beginning of that, I've been working with the kids to produce original plays. So I kind of just have grown from there and producing work for children.
That is so cool. Was this the first time that you'd written a monologue, or had you done that previously?
I've done a few projects before that were monologue based, working with actors and directors who have mentored us through the process of writing monologues, but this has been very different, particularly in the fact that before this I've always written monologues for myself to perform, and in this case it was for other people, so that was a really different experience.
Yeah, amazing. And I'd love to know from all of you, because you've all got such varied backgrounds and voices as writers. So if there are people watching who would maybe like to start writing, but they're a bit nervous about it or have no idea where to start, what would your kind of top tips be? Maybe we will start with you this time, Emma.
I think a few people have already said this, but if you want to write, you just need to write. You know, you're gonna be crap at it to start with, but you've just got to keep going. Like any skill, you have to build on it, which is still something I struggle with. You know, you write something and you want it to be perfect to start with, but it's not going to happen. You just have to keep writing, and eventually you'll get to a place where you're really happy with the quality of writing.
Great, thank you. And Isadora, how about you?
Well, I disagree with that. I think it's important to put your ideas on paper and then you kind of figure out formatting, and because that's the most important part, just I guess physically writing out your ideas. Yeah, that's my tip.
Excellent. I'm going to remember all of these and use these tips. I feel like the next thing you publish should be advice for writers. A handbook would be very useful. And Charlotte, what about you? What's your tip?
Don't underestimate the importance of rewriting something, because obviously a first draft is terrible, always, as a rule, but through the process of drafting and rewriting, even years later from something you did when you were 12, if you rewrite it now, it's going to be 10 times better. So just don't underestimate rewriting. It sucks to think about, but it really does pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Michael, how about you?
I think definitely like finding where to write and how to write is so different for every single person. And I think so much of finding somewhere to write from and finding what to write is just experimenting and trying out different ways of doing things and some people love to plan things, and I am terrible at planning things. And so everyone has a different process. And I think just finding that process and experimenting with different ways of doing things is just how to start. And, write something and it's probably going to be bad, and just write it again and keep writing until you're proud of what you're creating.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you over on the Facebook chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
So that was a bit of an introduction to all of the amazing writers in this publication. Thank you so much for joining me for tonight's celebration. It has been my total pleasure to talk to these amazing young writers, and I cannot wait to see their work on the stage. Now, on behalf of Carclew, Country Arts SA, Australian Theatre for Young People, Currency Press, and all of the writers, I would like to acknowledge the funding partners who made all of this brilliance possible. So Writing Place and This Was Urgent Yesterday was possible due to the financial support of the Federal Government's Regional Arts Fund strategic initiatives, Arts South Australia and Australia Council for the Arts. This Was Urgent Yesterday is ready and waiting for your interpretations and presentations of the scripts. So you can purchase a copy via the Currency Press website, and stay tuned for giveaways tonight via Country Arts SA and Carclew's social media. Now, all of the writers that we've heard from are heading over to the Facebook event chat to answer your questions. I really recommend heading over there because we had such brief time with them tonight and they've all got amazing talent. So get over there, ask your questions. They'll be there for the next 30 minutes. And we'll also be giving away a couple of copies of This Was Urgent Yesterday. But you need to maybe write a question, get involved to go into the draw. So head on over. Thank you all so much. And I hope you enjoyed This Was Urgent Yesterday. Have a good night.